Happy Monday, everyone, and good afternoon if you are in Australia. My name is Naishad Gadani, and I'm the co founder of the LinkedIn Live show, which is a career care package. And today is our 101st episode in our journey to spread optimism to your life. We celebrated 100 shows last week, so thank you very much for your outpouring of support and love. A lot of people wanted a piece of cake, and I took some pictures and sent it to you as well. So hopefully you enjoyed those pictures that I sent it to you. But it was really, really very. We were very privileged to listen to some really deeply moving stories from our guests last week. So we really give a shout out to every guest that graced our show last week, but also all the guests who graced our show for last 100 episodes. So we thank you. And also, as always, you are the star of the show. The listeners and the watchers are the star of the show. It is because of your continuous support and listening and watching. Has helped us to continue our drive to spread optimism in these dark times that we find ourselves in. So today we have got another fantastic guest, Maria, and she said about her surname, but she also mentioned that that might be too difficult for me to pronounce, just like my name is. So I'll probably leave that for Maria to explain that. But it's fantastic. Maria and I have been LinkedIn friends for a long time, and I reached out to her last week or the week before, and absolutely she was absolutely readily accepted the opportunity to share her knowledge. And she's a two times TEDx speaker, and she talks a lot on resilience, adaptability. And not many people may know this, but she has also had a dig at stand-up comedy. So we will also ask her about her experience in that and how she integrated resilience and adaptability as part of her stand-up, comic routine. So, but before we introduce Maria, let's welcome Caroline Ram.
Thanks, Nash. And I'm looking outside at a beautiful winter sunny day in Melbourne, which is really, really nice to see and very, very uplifting. And I think a good sort of thing to think about in times like this, that, we can get out and enjoy the sunshine still, and lots of beautiful things are free in this environment. So, yeah, really excited to have you here, Maria, because I was looking at your TEDx talks and reading a few of your posts, and I just got reflecting on, how much we have of this damn cult of busyness. It's like a badge of honor about how many hours we work, and that we're disciplined and da 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 da. And I actually find it a bit exhausting, to be perfectly honest. So when Nash said that he'd invited you on the show, I was very excited to talk about this idea about resilience and adaptability and what we can do in times where it's really quite stressful, or very stressful for a lot of people. So thank you so much for joining us. Wanted to maybe just start. Actually, I want to say hello to Amit and hello to Balan also, who've just popped up. And I think Balan's our numbers man, because he says that 101 is considered auspicious, an auspicious number in India. So means that's fantastic. I think 97 was good as well for some reason. So yeah, all right, distracted. Maria, tell us about yourself and the work that you do. Is probably a good place to start our discussion.
Oh my God. Oh, thanks. First of all, so happy to be here. And yes, 101 episode, and I'm the guest on that episode. I'm very, very excited. Thank you for having me. With the work I do, through my life, like we started talking about busyness, and through my life, I was a busy bee. Just to give a few examples, when I was 5, I was already attending music school, playing piano, and I was studying my second language. And when I was 15, I already finished music school, and I was about to start my university degree, my first university degree. And when I was 25, by that time, I already built 3 careers as a university lecturer, as a lawyer, and also as an interpreter, fluent in 5 languages.
Wow.
I also had an experience of working as a cleaner, which probably not a career, but was a quite interesting experience as well. By 35, I already had nearly a dozen of university degrees and qualifications, and I started working on my first business, building my first business. So I was busy through most of my life. I was busy, and if I had a chance to go back to my younger self, I would have told myself that I was doing everything incorrectly.
Yeah.
And actually, if I weren't busy, if I took much better care of my health and invested more in my relationships, actually, I would have been much more productive and would have achieved much, much, much more. So unfortunately, yes, being busy, thinking, measuring your success by your busyness is kind of a plague, modern day plague. Something that I didn't understand for over 3 decades, and well, better late than never. But now I just really want to talk about those things and share those things, and get through to people, in particular younger people, in particular a lot of people in their mid-20s reach out to me, and they're just extremely busy. They're roller coaster between anxiety and depression. They try to impress their friends, impress their families. They set very unrealistic goals. They listen to influencers who sometimes lie, say that they sleep like 3-4 hours a night and that's it, and you have to work for 100 hours. And I really would like to get it through to as many people as possible, and actually to reveal that more than anything, you need to take care of yourself and your relationships first. And that professional growth, it will come. It will absolutely come. And you will achieve much more than if you were just plain grinding. Yeah.
Why do we get hooked on business? Like, what was behind? This would be really useful, I reckon, for people to understand. Maybe they can see themselves in it as well, like this overachievement type thing. Why do we do that? What was behind your sort of drive to do so much at a young age, do you think?
There was a few reasons. One of them was just something I copied from my parents and my grandmother.
Yeah.
Who were also overachieving and self-sacrificing. So in particular, my dad, for example, was a brilliant doctor, and he had more than 12 specialties as a medical practitioner. So it is something that I copied in particular from him, being constantly busy, but also I think I wanted to impress him or to make him happy, because every time I achieved something, it made him happy. And I thought that, the more I achieved, the happier he would be as well. So there's a few things intertwined. And I think in particular with those people in their mid-20s that I'm communicating and who reach out to me, I see a lot of them trying to, do a lot of things for their parents because their parents expecting them, or to impress their friends, or they just blindly follow what influencers are saying. And, it really, I can't stand, to be honest, when influencers throw this phrase around, rise and grind.
Oh, yes.
Rise and grind, it constantly pops up on every social media platform. But if you look at those influencers, actually, they do work hard, but they also have date nights with their life partners. They go on holidays, they go skiing and surfing, and they meditate, and they have morning routines, and they have evening routines to unwind, and they catch up with their friends, and so on and so forth. So if you actually look at their lives, what they're talking about is when you work, you have to be fully focused on what you're doing. But at the same time, you have to have that clear vision of where you're going, what you're trying to achieve. And very, very, very importantly, you have to be disciplined with both, not just work, but with your rest, with your play, with things that recharge you. You have to have them in your schedule. In fact, these are the first things that you have to schedule into your schedule. Things that charge you up, things that bring you joy, things that allow you to get some rest.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So when they say rise and grind, they actually mean rise and be focused.
rise and yeah,
be focused.
yeah. Just might get you to bring your mic a little
Absolutely.
bit closer because I'm having a bit of trouble hearing. So, perfect.
Let's see. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. And Poonam, Ishani, Elizabeth, and a LinkedIn user that I can't really identify. Thank you for joining us. So let's really kind of dig into the topic around resilience, because it's a topic I think we have all we there are a couple of words that I've heard most in last COVID-19. Few words. One is testing, masks, to PPE, to pivot, and resilience. Then are you pivoting or not, and where do you pivot yourself? And around resilience, I think we are digging deeper into our own strength, our own spirit, to find out something that we can hang on to, because just imagine those 3,000 virgin employees are going to be losing their job, or have lost jobs. They will dig deeper, like literally deeper, to find out. No amount of what we say, the positive thinking, does at one instance it's going to give up, right? Then you got to dig deeper and find out. And that's how I relate to resilience, around your ability to hang on and about your ability to stay afloat. What are your observation around resilience, and how? And also, we want to also understand, how do you see people are kind of behaving and approaching this in this last 4 5 months time, Maria?
It's been very difficult for everyone, and we process it differently as well. And it can be probably compared to grieving process, what we're going through. And there are different stages to it, and everyone goes to next stage at a different time, and in a different way. So we're not in sync either, in connection to where we are in that grieving process. And especially then last week, with Victoria going into stage 4 lockdown, to me it felt like before that the majority of us experienced severe anxiety, and with stage 4, people either felt burnt out or depressed or just very low. And the mood in the air is not the best. But at the same time, I noticed that since we started wearing masks, more people smile at each other. It's so interesting. Like when I go to my local supermarket, I see more people smiling at each other. You can see it in their eyes. Although face is covered, you would have thought why. But I think, people try to support each other as well. So it's from mostly panicking, went through different phases, and now I think people are more supportive and taking the situation better. But once again, we're so very different, and we process it differently, and we have to be respectful of that.
Yeah. I was just going to jump in and say, it's funny with the masks, isn't it? It's kind of like, it's weird to wear one, and you go for a walk, and after about half an hour you're like, I want to get this thing off. But it's almost like this visible sign of some shared support for the whole thing that that we need to do. And what I found really encouraging just from that is that despite what you hear on the news, which is random people, most people, 95% of people or more that you see out and about are wearing masks. And for me, I feel like it's the symbol of where we have to act collectively as a society. That makes me feel better to see that. So yeah, it's funny about having to dig deep in times like this, and you do go through different things at different stages. I found myself having a bit of a short fuse for a while, and then stepping back, and I'm just realizing it's just part of adjusting to where we are at the moment in life. So I'm not trying to be perfect about being perfect, you know what I mean? It's just what it is. So yeah. But what about one of the things that you mentioned, which I think is a great thing to discuss, is like getting sleep, getting enough sleep. What does sleep do for you? You know, beyond the 4 hours that the experts say that you must have. Like, what's the definition of a good sleep?
What's the definition of a good sleep?
Yeah.
I think it has become a skill. Sleeping properly, it has become a skill.
Yeah.
So something that's supposed to come to us naturally with all the stresses that we experience and with all the, how much information we're getting bombarded and with how much we're juggling, it's getting more and more difficult to actually wind down and to get that proper sleep through the night and to get enough hours. So when we talk about proper sleep, it's not just quantity of hours, but also quality as well. And these are two very vast topics. And in particular with quantity of sleep, yes, we see so many influencers bragging how little they sleep. And we have to understand there are a few things to that. Like, one of the points is that, yes, there are people who can recover within 3-4 hours a night. There are such individuals. They have DNA variation, and that genetic variation helps them to recover within such short period of time. It does come with other consequences, but it is true that about 2% of the population can recover within 4 hours. But I also slept 3-4 hours through most of my life, in particular in my 20s, but it wasn't due to having that genetic predisposition. It just due to me being very anxious and just constantly riding on anxiety and constantly having spikes of adrenaline and cortisol. And this is what a lot of public figures and influencers are experiencing themselves. They call it passion, but it's actually anxiety. So they confuse the two. And of course, there are people who exaggerate because, as you mentioned, being sleep deprived is a badge of honor nowadays. Being busy is a badge of honor. It's something very fashionable, it's something everyone should strive for. But I think a lot of influencers, they just plain lie about it. Because if they get asked how long you sleep, how many hours you sleep, and they give an answer, how are we going to go and check it out? How are we going to know for sure if they're sleeping 4 hours or if they're sleeping all 12 hours like Einstein used to? But the main thing to understand is that we're all very, very different, and whatever we need in terms of sleep, we just need to take it on board and to implement it. And it varies from a person to a person, but it can also vary from situation to a situation. For example, when we're going through a stressful period, we might need more sleep. Or it varies from a season to a season. So through summer, for example, 7 hours for me is enough. But in winter, I sleep 9-10 hours. This is what I need. Otherwise, just my brain won't be productive through the day, and I'll be cranky. And I'd rather work less hours and be more productive and get more done than get myself sleep deprived and then just try to power through, and due to being exhausted, to be less productive. And also another thing that comes to it is that we start making a lot of silly mistakes. And I know just from my own example that whenever I was exhausted, I just made such simple mistakes, like I lost my wallet. And when you lose your wallet, it's not just about the money, it's replacing all the documents, like your driver's license, for example, your bank cards. It takes time. So if you were better rested, that wouldn't happen, and then you wouldn't be wasting your time on replacing those documents and being in that situation. So just like one of the examples. Another example could be just getting into car accidents or scratching someone's car on a parking lot simply because you're tired. If you got proper rest, that wouldn't happen. So when we make those silly mistakes that were actually easily avoidable, we really push ourselves back. So being busy and grinding and being sleep deprived it's just a misconception of being productive. If anything, it's the opposite of it. You can also look at tweets by like Elon Musk, for example. A few years ago, he had quite a lot of series of tweets that set his businesses back because they were quite damaging. He just blurted out something, and next day, Tesla stocks went down in price.
Yes,
And, you
yes, I
know,
remember that. Yes,
yeah.
he's
And
selling. I
you
think he said that he's selling Tesla or selling something, and then suddenly next day morning he woke up to a tanked Tesla stock. I remember that.
Yeah, or he insulted someone, and of course
Yeah.
he was taken to court, and of course he spent a lot of time preparing for the case and being in court, and you know, time wise and mind wise, it took him away from what he was doing just because he tweeted something disrespectful that, in the moment of anger or whatever it was. But have you noticed that he has changed drastically? Like, for
Mm.
example, a year ago, there was launch of Cybertruck. Remember that? Have you seen the launch? If
No, I
someone
didn't.
didn't see it, you've got
Yeah.
to see it. So there was a launch of Cybertruck, and Elon Musk was proudly on stage saying that, oh, this car is so incredible
Unbreakable.
because, in particular, metal unbreakable. Yes, unbreakable because metal that they used is usually used for building spaceships, and the glass used for windows is bulletproof. And they brought, I think, an athlete, and they asked him to bash the door with a baseball bat and then throw baseballs at the windows.
Yeah.
And what happened was that when he threw his
I know.
first baseball, the glass cracked. And Elon Musk was standing there, is like, "Oh my God, can be right. Do it again." So he threw the second ball, and the glass cracked again. The bulletproof glass cracked again. But if you look at the reaction of Elon Musk, he helped himself beautifully,
Yeah.
And moreover, afterwards, Tesla released T-shirts. They started selling T-shirts where that cracked glass was depicted. So it was very different how he reacted in the situation and how he followed up to that. You can call it failure or whatever.
Mm.
It was very, very different from how
Yeah,
he would had reacted to something like that a few years before that. So in
Mm.
particular, I think he started taking much better care of himself, and in particular, getting better sleep and just
yeah.
taking care of himself both physically and mentally. And we see that his tweets are very different these days, and how he reacts to things is very different as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good idea, and then that sends a reminder to all those job seekers out there. Don't send any LinkedIn message in the after 10 o'clock, or any post after 10 o'clock. Howsoever frustrated and angry you are to a particular individual or to a community of individuals, please avoid doing that, because the morning you wake up, you'll probably be all over famous on social media, but all for wrong reasons. So please be mindful of that. Poonam is saying the resilience is the ability to bouncing back and rise to the inevitable challenges and problems. Absolutely. And Amit has his DNA tested to learn about himself by and learn that his wake up time is 7:37 a.m. That's the proper wake up time.
Is
Look,
that valid?
you might have to, yeah, you might have to, check that out whether that's in India time or Australia time. Because if you're going to be coming to Australia, yeah, it's just different. But thank you, Amit. It's good that people are taking that interest. Now we got a question, Maria, from Zoeb. He's asking that what strategies can be planned to be resilient in these tough times like COVID. And a lot of I think people are saying that this is 2020's pandemic, COVID. After 5-7 years, there will be something else. You can't really prevent these things. There's just so much that you can do. But if and when I'm thinking about COVID as a symbol of adversities more than anything else, what people can do to start to build that resilience? Is it all thinking positive? Is it all thinking through all the kind of options? What are some of the things that people can do, Maria?
Yeah. I speak of resilience as a three-legged chair, and I'll talk about this a little bit further down the track. But at this point, I really would like to show you a photo.
Oh, yes.
Can you, can everyone see it? Yeah. So it was a camping trip that I took with my friends in my 20s. And this happened right in the beginning of our trip. It was unfortunate and was a difficult situation. We got stuck in that mud. And I came across this photo this weekend, and I thought if 2020 had to be photographed, that this was a very good depiction of the current year, what we're going through. And when something like this happens, so in that situation in particular, we had a few options, how to react and how to behave in such situation. So some people, for example, maybe could get upset and get angry, and start yelling and screaming and cursing and just indulge into that. Or we had a lot of wine in our boots. We had quite a few bottles of wine, so we could have started drinking, waiting for someone to maybe pass by and to potentially help us, which I'm thinking is happening right now a lot. So I have to pass my liquor store when I go to my supermarket, the way the blocked entrance is. You have to enter and exit through liquor store. Of course, they did it on purpose, but anyway, so I had a chat with a salesperson, and they said that sales up by 4 times. So sales up by 400% on alcohol these days that it used to be in comparison to the year before that. So yeah, I have a feeling that this is what a lot of people are doing, drinking and waiting for someone to come and save them for things to change. But what we did is that, we exercised useful thinking, and we just looked at each other and we said, look, we're going to figure it out. So we pulled our phones and we Googled, and we found that we can find some branches and some pieces of wood, and to get the car out of like that. So this is what we started doing. We started looking for branches and bringing branches and putting those branches, and then together we pushed the car out. And of course it took time. It was very difficult, but it's an example of how whatever happens, 2 main things are important. It's not about what happens, but it's about, firstly, your attitude, how you react to those things. And secondly, it's about your relationships. It's the depth of your connection with other people. These are the 2 main things. To tackle any situation, to solve any task, to resolve any problem. So the answer is who you are as a person and how you react to things. And you probably seen a lot of people posting about it, that it's only 10% of what happens to us, and it's 90% how we perceive it and how we react to it and how we act on it. And the second thing is our relationships, is the quality, the depth of our connections with other people that helps us to get through anything and everything and makes us resilient. So yeah, back to the 3-legged chair. When I talk about resilience, when I teach about resilience and speak about resilience, I compare it to a 3-legged chair that you're building for yourself. And one leg is, what is it you're doing for your fulfillment? So maybe it's something you're doing professionally as a hobby. The second leg is your relationships, in particular the quality of those relationships. And the third leg is the most important one. At the back of that chair is your health and your well-being, both physical and mental. So if you build 3 strong legs, in particular, if you build that strong leg at the back, if you take care of your health, if you take care of your well-being, if you take care of yourself both physically and mentally, this is going to be the most important leg for you. The second leg is building relationships, and third leg is doing something that actually gets you excited. So if you make sure that every leg is, if they even height and they all sturdy, you build that sturdy chair that you can sit on, and whatever life throws at you, whether it's a storm or whatever comes at you, if that chair is sturdy, you're going to be stable on it. But if the chair is wobbly, you're going to fall off. So this is what resilience is about, is how quickly you bounce back when something happens. So the stronger the chair is, the quicker you can bounce, and the sturdier you can be in the situation, and the quicker you can move on and grow further and deal with what happened. So focus on building that chair. In particular, take care of your health and take care of your relationships. These are the most important parts of building up your resilience.
Yeah, it's interesting, I think, because a lot of people perceive like resilience as being like a mindset. You get back, you fall down, you can talk yourself into, or you can have it. One of my clients the other day was saying, she was feeling quite down, and it was because she was working a lot alone, and that she'd given herself a good hard talking to, but it wasn't about talking yourself out of it. It's about, okay, what's the missing bit in the chair, or the missing leg, and it probably was the relationships and the connection. And it's really interesting that you say that, because I think we all tend to focus on maybe one of those, not all three of those. This is a bit of a weird question I wanted to ask. Is there anything like a perfect length working day? Like, as human beings, what are we meant to be working a day that means that we have everything in balance?
I think we're all very, very different.
Yeah.
So there is no cookie cut approach advice. I think for every person, this is why it's difficult to give advice, because every person have to analyze what they need,
Yeah.
What they capable of, and what they can get done, and what they need to get done, and how much they need to sleep, and how long they can focus for. Because, for example, for someone, Pomodoro technique, where you work for 20 minutes and then you rest for 5 and then you repeat it, for some people that works. It doesn't work for me. I need to go into the deep work for an hour and a half. So this is how my brain functions. This is how I can be most creative and most productive. So you gotta try different things. You gotta try different time frames. Whether usually our brain functions better in the mornings, but once again, not for everyone. Someone's brain functions better in the afternoon. Someone is better in the evening. You can retrain your brain if you want to, and this is what I did, because I was always a night owl. And I was always, I used to go to bed at like after 2 a.m. and I would wake up at 5 a.m. Through my 20s, this is what I was doing, and through most of my 30s as well. And you can retrain your brain. So I retrained my brain, and now I'm super productive in the mornings. This is when it's my most creative outbursts are now. So you got to try those things. You need to decide what kind of life you want, and you need to build your schedule around that. And only you can decide how much rest you need, and how much work you can get done, and create that schedule according to what your genetic predispositions are. What is the stage of your life you're in? What are the goals at this point in time? So it's not like something you can decide on for the rest of your life. You can decide on a schedule for 2 weeks and then change it, or you can decide about a schedule for a month, or you can have different schedule in summer and winter, the way I do. Because in winter, I'm not as productive. I need more sleep. I need more rest to recharge myself. So, of course, my winter schedule differs from my summer schedule. And, of course, my schedule in my 20s was very different from my schedule in my 40s. So it is something that you have to have a chat with yourself and analyze and look into what's working for you. And not to look at anyone else. Maybe someone works 20 hours a day, like I used to. Maybe someone works 2 hours a day. It's all very individual, and we shouldn't feel guilty that we work less or more than someone else. We shouldn't be comparing ourselves at all. The only person we should be competing with is ourselves. That's it. And be patient with yourself, and caring about yourself. This is something that everyone should be doing. And like I said, to decide for yourself how many hours a day you want to work and you can work. And when I mean work, I mean productive work, not sitting at the table thinking that you're working, but actually checking social media.
Yes.
But actually having done that deep work and being fully focused on what is it you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a question from Vinesh. Hi, Vinesh. How do you retrain your brain? It's a question that I think my kids also want to know. How can I really retrain my dad? so that he gets everything that we want. So tell us about it. It's a physical piece. It's not a it's just not thought process, right? But you are also kind of, a lot of people say, rewiring your brain, and and change how you think and everything. So I can probably add one more question. How lasting is that? Is it like a really lasting thing, and how does that really work? Because it's a very simple question, but it's not as easy to understand as possible. So can you tell us, how do you really retrain your brain?
Oh, our brain is absolutely fascinating. And let's talk, for example, about negative thinking and positive thinking, or I prefer to call useful thinking. So when we're born, we naturally have this predisposition for negative thinking, and it's just the way we survived evolutionary. So let's say 10,000 years ago, or a few hundred years ago, something that worked for us. But considering how much stress and information we're getting these days, it works against us. The fascinating thing is that it's actually different parts of the brain that generate negative thoughts and positive thoughts. So it's about strengthening connections in the part of the brain that generates positive thoughts. And you mentioned rewiring. This is what happens. You probably heard this expression: neurons that fire together wire together. Exactly. So when you start thinking positive thoughts, you engage neurons that create positive thoughts. And when they work together, they communicate with each other. So when they're not connected, they can't communicate. But for them to communicate faster with each other, they start building links, wiring. And the stronger and thicker those connections are, the quicker they correspond with each other. And the faster, the more skilled you become at something in particular, like positive thinking or useful thinking. So it's just, I did it myself. I used to be a quite negative person. If anything happened, I used to go to just thinking straight about the downside of it. As an example, for instance, where I live, there is a really beautiful oak tree. It's beautiful, but very crooked, and through the winter, it's always bare. So it's actually not, it's beautiful when it has leaves on it, but it's quite scary when it's like from Pranzel, like from a fairy tale type of tree when it's bare. But this weekend I noticed that it has some green growth, like green leaves sprouting on the bottom branches. And my attention, that's what got my attention. So my attention didn't go into thinking, oh, what an ugly tree, I can't wait for the leaves to appear. My thinking was, oh my God, there's some green growth on those bottom branches. It means spring is coming. So that's negative thinking opposite to useful thinking or positive thinking, if you want to call that. So it is something that I did deliberately when I started catching myself whenever I had negative thoughts. I created that habit of catching myself, of becoming aware of it, and saying to myself, look, this train of thought is not useful. Seriously, like if you're worrying about something, you're just misusing your imagination and your energy and your time. So whatever you're thinking right now, that all negativity that's roaming in your head, it's not helping you at all. Like, how is it helpful? So what could I think instead that is actually useful? What's the useful train of thought in this particular situation? So it just started as me creating a habit of catching myself when I'm thinking something negative and replacing it with a positive thinking. And I'd say 2 weeks later, I started feeling a huge difference in how I was saying things. It felt amazing. It really felt amazing. And I decided, you know what, I want to keep upskilling myself in that useful thinking and keep rewiring my brain, because life has become much better, and what you do changes and your thinking patterns change, and you start talking to different people and you start seeing things differently, and you come up with different ideas, and you grow, you progress, you transform. And once you experience that, there's nothing better than that feeling.
I was reading the book and I didn't finish it, but I think I've got the gist of the message enough to not finish it, so I don't feel guilty about that. But it was around how you go out and you seek really infuse your day with some positive experiences, like going for a walk in the sun, or looking out the window and seeing a bird, and then just prolonging that, like really enjoying that moment and feeling what it feels like in your body, and then trying to extend that. And whenever I've practiced that, like you, that really does change how you see the day, because you find yourself looking around for more things to bring into the day that are really nice, and they don't need to be big things. They can just be little things that sort of keeps you like that. But yeah, it is a time where it's easy to, you turn on the news or you watch the analysis of the news, and it's just, there's a lot of it around, and it's hard to switch off sometimes with everything that's going on. But I really like that practice of looking for something, going for that walk, and just simple things that just really feeling what it feels like in your body as well. It's really works well.
Think of your mind as a lake with several waterfalls bringing water into it.
Yeah.
And the quality of that water in the lake depends what water goes into the lake from those waterfalls.
Yeah.
So it's also important to cut off those streams that don't service you. So in particular, to remove from your life, if it's possible, people who bring negativity, or especially people who you feel ambivalent about. They're even more dangerous than people who are negative.
Yeah.
Watching less news. Like, I haven't watched news in years, because they always packed with very negative elements to keep our attention for longer. So it's done on purpose. It's not because life and world is that dangerous, not at all. We're actually living in the safest time ever. But just to hold our attention, to keep us glued to the screen. This is why there's a lot of exaggeration happening. In particular, there's more negativity than should be happening within the news data, within the information that we're getting through news. So yeah, just not watching news is a really great way to reduce negativity coming into your life. So think of your mind as that lake with different streams, waterfalls coming into it, and rivers into it. And look, be the CEO of your life. Block certain streams, make the decision. What is it you don't want? What is very damaging or negative that's coming into your life, and cut it off or reduce it. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, before we finish, we definitely want to know one thing from you, Maria. How's your experience of delivering the comedy, stand-up comic? Tell us, how did that come about? Did you have to push yourself? Because that's I think, we had, Trevor, who's the bucket list guy on our show. And, obviously, listening to him is full of energy and full of ideas. There's a kind of a mental bucket list that I've been, building since then. I don't have the courage to write it down so far. But stand-up comic was something that struck to me, that I can, a lot of people say that I've got sense of humor, and 4 people, 2 of my kids, my mother-in-law and my wife. So I have to make more people, really fall in love with my humor. But tell me, how did that come about, and what did you learn out of that experience?
Oh my God, one of the best and most nerve-wracking experiences of my life. And if you want to feel more confident and more resilient, trust me, do stand-up comedy. How I got into that, I did just a few gigs, very short gigs. I was mostly joking about lawyers and how we should love lawyers instead of hate them and want them to kill them. But a friend of mine started a stand-up comedy school called School of Hard Knocks. If you Google it, you will see their website, and they have absolutely amazing comedians running their training courses. And the course is only a few days long. So for a few days, you practice with comedians and with trainers, and At the end of that course, you have to do your 5 minutes in front of the audience. I'm not sure how they're doing it now. They probably have online courses running. That was one of the best experiences of my life. Of course, it stretched my comfort zone greatly. I was very anxious, in particular when I had to perform for the first time in front of 100 people that I didn't know. But luckily, they got them a little bit drunk before the show.
There's the tip.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the audience was a little bit tipsy, so it went easier. But yes, I would highly recommend to get into it. And, confidence is a skill, resilience is a skill, humor is a skill. So all of the things can be developed if you want to. You can become even more humorous than you are. It's just a matter of, coming up with jokes and, you could do something like make a decision that every day you would come up with a joke and write it down. It doesn't matter if it's bad. Just write them down and, just after a few weeks, go through them and you'll see that you're getting better and better at picking up things and looking at things humorously and creating better and better material. Do it for yourself, seriously, and take that course if you can, if you have time. Google School of Hard Knocks. Trust me, you won't regret it. It's an amazing experience.
I love the name. Everything about names. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see a joke every day when I look at mirror. But yeah, that's how my joke falls flat, as you saw that. So look, Maria, I think it's fantastic to have you, and so graciously you agreed to be on this TEDxYZ kind of show that we are running. But really glad, and you've been very generous with your sharing, and we wish you luck in your endeavors, because I think whatever the resilience, adaptability, and also sleep, they are all they are all important things. And I really loved what you put is confidence is a skill, resilience is a skill, and stand up or humor is also a skill. So that's what I'm picking up from here. Maria, thank you very much. Caroline, anything you want to add?
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fantastic hearing.
My
I got a
absolute
lot out of
pleasure.
watching your TEDx talks and reading your blog posts, but also listening to what you've got to say. And I love your analogies about the car and being stuck, but also the waterfalls coming into the lake of your mind. It's a really nice way to think about keeping that level of mental buoyancy, I guess, and mental health. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been absolutely great to have you on, and see you soon, I hope, in upcoming episodes. And
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just wanted to say we are now on YouTube. I've been trying to learn how to SEO, and Nashad knows about this, learn SEO for YouTube. But so to help us out with our YouTube channel, if you can go across and subscribe, it's Career Care Package Live Broadcast. I think that's what I called it. I've even forgotten that. And give us a thumbs up on YouTube. That would be fantastic. If you want to follow the hashtag Career Care Package on LinkedIn, you'll see these episodes as well, and upcoming episodes. And Nash, do you want to tell everyone what we've got coming up tomorrow?
Absolutely. So tomorrow we are going to speak to Karen Williams, and she has a fantastic work history, very, very diverse work history. And we are going to talk about, it's a very COVID-19 kind of a topic, that how can you really have language of emotions to open up discussions, to have a real raw conversations with people that supports you in your endeavors, be it a job search, be it your career advancements, anything. So be ready to listen to an absolute amazing expert at that. Karen Williams will be joining you tomorrow 3 p.m. Melbourne time. So until we see you tomorrow, if you are in Victoria, don't forget to mask up. If you're anywhere else, please look after yourself and your family. And until we see you tomorrow 3 p.m., have a safe evening, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.